Hey guys, welcome again to A Cup of Positivity. I can't believe we're now on episode 10. Super exciting. It's been a fun 10 weeks, actually 11 weeks, but I'm so glad that you're here. This week I have Jade Poleon as my guest. She is living her best van life at the moment. She has traveled around for the last 12 years doing loads of different things actually, and one of which she's doing now is her van life with her dog Gimley. She joined me to tell us all about her travel stories, what she's been up to, where she's been working, how she travels, how she finances herself, and what she's doing now with her travel blog. If you're in any way into traveling, I definitely would recommend listening to this episode. I would also really recommend, if you can, for this episode, maybe watch on YouTube, because her dog Gimley comes on and has a little cameo, and he does a few little fun things towards the end of the podcast as well. So if you can, then hit it up on YouTube, and if not, don't worry, you won't miss much. We're still here on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you so much again for being here, guys. If you're a regular listener, I truly appreciate you, and thank you so much, and see you soon. Hi Jade, welcome to A Cup of Positivity. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Had a bit of tech issue before we started, but it seems okay now.
All good, yeah. We're ready to
go. Do you have your cup of tea with you?
I sure do, yes.
Oh, what tea is it?
So it is jasmine green tea.
Ah, okay. And what's that mug?
So it actually says Arctic Circle, and then it basically says at the bottom, I have crossed the Arctic Circle. So
wow.
I got it like a week ago when I crossed the Arctic Circle. So
okay.
Yeah, so it's cool. So,
yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a minute then. I've got this energizing, what is it called? Energizing morning tea with guarana and ginseng. I haven't tried it before, so
sounds delicious.
We'll see. So yeah, if you want to just introduce yourself to everyone, and then we'll carry on from there.
Yeah, so I am Jade from Ireland. I could probably talk for Ireland when I talk about myself, because there's so many things that I've done in the last 12 years probably. But right now I'm actually living in my van. So that's what you see in the background is my humble abode on wheels. So I'm in Norway at the moment, but I've actually been traveling solo for about 12 years. So I've been to, I think now I've counted 90 countries, and sounds like a lot, but I still have a lot more that I want to see. So it's like a never ending list. So yeah, at the moment it's me and my dog who's happily eating a jar of peanut butter there on the floor. Keep him distracted.
So you're blogging about your travels basically?
Yeah.
And you've been traveling, you said, for 12 years?
Yeah, I actually left in 2007. Initially it was supposed to be a year abroad, and then it just became this like addiction where I wanted to just keep going. And actually, because like when you're from Ireland or the UK, certain countries you get work visas. So I wanted to use all my visas before I was too old. So I went through all of them, and I've used like 5 work visas. So it made sense because I could work and travel, and if I was going to work at home, I might as well work abroad. So yeah, that's why I did it basically.
That's amazing. So then, okay, so you've been traveling for 12 years. And then how do you travel around? Because you haven't always been in your van, have you?
No, I've only had the van since November. So yeah, this is the first time we've actually, me and the dog, have traveled like this. Before it was mostly like I would just take public transport, or I would like generally take like buses or flights or trains and just things like that, and sometimes ride shares or rent a car, things, different ways like that. But I do find living in a van, it's like a totally different experience, because it's traveling, but it's also your home, so you don't really feel like you're traveling. It's kind of an odd, like it's hard to explain. But yeah, that's kind of the way I've traveled before anyways, before the dog. So yeah.
How long have you had the dog?
I've had him since October, so he's
new.
a year old. yeah, so all he knows is van life.
Yeah. What's his name?
Gimley.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, he's so cute.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about your van. Like, what do you have in there? I'm guessing you have everything you need, like shower, toilet, all of that stuff.
Yeah, I do. It's actually it's pretty cool because it's an ex-airport shuttle bus from Aer Lingus.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty unique. So I get a lot of looks on the road and when I'm parked, when I go for petrol, like literally all the time. So it's quite a good size because we can stand up. I can stand up in it because it's like really high. So I have the space, but I also have like bathroom, as you said. Yeah, I have the shower, the toilet, sink in the bathroom, and then I have my kitchen. So I have another sink and cooker. I don't have an oven though, which I really, really want. So I can't have a lot of pizza, which is unfortunate. But I do have a hob, so I can cook most of my food on there. And I have a big, huge bed at the back. And then at the front where I'm sitting is a sofa, but it also turns into a bed if anyone
Yeah.
wants to like travel with me. And then I have like a big wardrobe and like lots of storage kind of around the upper part.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got lots of space for all my stuff. So everything I own is in here. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. What were you doing before this then?
So before this, I was working at home as a travel agent.
Okay.
So I kind of thought that's what I wanted to do
Yeah.
from, so many years of traveling, but it wasn't really what I thought it would be. Yeah, it wasn't really the kind of I don't know how to explain. It was more like commercial, tours and selling cruises and all that sort of thing, whereas I'd prefer off the beaten track adventure sort of things and to give people that sort of advice and
Yeah.
especially traveling solo and all of that. So I wasn't really into it. So I worked there for about 6 months, and then I ended up getting the van and taking off. So yeah, now I work online as a travel writer, so I can work on the road.
That was one of my other questions as well. Like, how do you financially sustain your life or your lifestyle?
Yes, so basically I have savings from before, so from my last job, but also from I worked on the cruise ships for quite a long time, which is an amazing way to save money because you
Mm-hmm.
don't pay for anything. So I had savings from that, some of which I used to buy the van, and then the rest I'm using to basically just like fund the trip. But also I work as a travel writer for an Irish website, so
Yeah.
I write articles per week. Um, which is really handy because that basically pays for like whatever I have to pay for like food and diesel. That's pretty much all I pay for because there's no bills. So
Yeah.
it's quite handy. So my savings kind of stay as they are, and I just use what I make from the writing. And then hopefully when I go home, I'll do a bit of yoga teaching as well during the winter. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be quite cool as well on top of that.
Yeah. So when you say when you go home, like, do you have stints abroad and then you come home for a bit and then you go back out, or have you actually just been out the whole time?
No, I definitely have times when I come back, like in between, generally to just to kind of relax at home and prepare for my next trip, or like, yeah, to see family and friends. Like it's
Yeah.
hard to be away constantly. Um, but like this time I'm going to go back in November because I plan to get the whole van kind of renovated, like properly modernized and all of that. And it also needs to be tested every year, so that's going to be due in November. So it just makes sense to go home. I wouldn't fancy being in this van in winter because it's not insulated or anything. So I
Okay.
think being indoors will be better for
Yeah.
winter. Yeah, and then probably like February or March, I'll probably set off again somewhere warm. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's amazing. I love that you're just like a free spirit, just go wherever the wind takes you.
exactly. Yeah, it's pretty. It's the way I've been for like most of my adult life, and I think
Yeah.
this lifestyle kind of found me because it ticks all the boxes. I did try and settle in Ireland the last year basically, and like it worked for a few months, but then I got itchy feet and I just
Yeah.
especially selling holidays, and that didn't help.
Yeah, I
So
don't think, I was going to say, you must just be tempted the whole time if you're constantly looking at that stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, it was a good time to set off again. So yeah.
Yeah. So the van as it is now, did you kit that out yourself?
Yeah, so basically it was all converted, as in the inside was all taken out and they put in the bed and the wardrobe and all of that. But it was owned by two guys before me, so it had no like personality and character and color, just
Yeah.
that sense of like, homeliness. So the first thing I did was paint it. So I painted it all kind of like mint green, and then I hung up basically everything I've collected from my travels. So like my cushions and everything, they're all from
Oh, I love
India.
that.
Yeah, they're all like elephants. And I put up all these shelves, and I just have like just bits and pieces like plants and solar lights and things like that
Yeah.
to make it more cozy. Because when you're living in it, it's important to feel like comfortable and at home, not just like if you're using it for the weekends, it's different. It's not the same, but like, yeah, I feel like it's my home now, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It looks very homely from here.
yeah. People say it's like a gypsy caravan. I should be telling people fortunes in here. Like, maybe.
Yeah, just some extra change.
Exactly.
Okay, so tell us about some of the countries that you've visited. Like, do you have any favorite places?
Before this trip, I always said Norway anyways, but now I would definitely say Norway. I think it's somewhere that everybody should travel. Like, it is one of the more expensive countries in Europe, obviously. Everyone knows that. But like, especially if you travel this way, you can save a lot of money, and don't do a lot of touristy things. The
Hmm.
scenery is incredible. The hiking is amazing if you're like into nature. It's so good. And the weather's been really good. So the
Yeah.
winter, obviously, I wouldn't think is that nice to travel around in a van. But you'd see the northern lights, although the summer is perfect for the van. So you get to, go hiking and see the midnight sun and all of that. So Norway definitely is top of the list.
Hmm.
It's incredible and so close to everywhere in Europe. But people seem to avoid that, and they go down to like, the typical countries like Spain and Greece
Yeah.
and Italy. So yeah, it's quite nice up here. So it's still got that, you know, old style character because it hasn't been invaded by so many tourists yet. So it's quite nice. Yeah,
Okay.
it's definitely my favorite.
Okay. And how do you get there? Like, how long does it take? What's the route?
So for me, we drove all the way through Sweden and then through Finland and crossed over the north of Finland,
Hmm.
and now we're driving down the coast of Norway. So we're kind of doing a circle. Most people could take the ferry from Denmark. So you could always, like from Ireland or the UK, you could take the ferry over to France,
Hmm.
and you can just drive straight up to Denmark, take the ferry to the south of Norway, and you
Okay.
can just drive up from there. So it's pretty easy to get to. But it is a really long country, so to get from the bottom right to the top takes like probably a few weeks. So
Oh,
you probably can
wow.
do a lot in a short time.
Yeah.
Um, because the roads are really narrow and windy, so it might look like a short distance, but it's super long.
Hmm.
Yeah. So but it's doable
Yeah.
if you have time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then do you meet a lot of people? Do you make a lot of friends whilst you're away? Or do you just feel quite lonely traveling on your own?
Well, the thing is, like with the dog, I've met so many people on this
Mm.
trip because uh, people always stop, and if they have a dog as well, they stop on the street and you have a chat and stuff like that. It's a great way to meet locals that way. Um, like when I didn't have the dog, I would meet a lot of people kind of at different events, or going out to restaurants, and meeting like a group of people, or going to couch surfing events or whatever it is that way. But with the dog, it's kind of a different way of meeting people. Like this morning, I actually took him to a dog park just down the street here, and met another girl traveling in her van with her dog, which was
Oh,
so odd because I haven't met anybody at all on this whole trip
yeah.
doing it. So that was really cool. And now we're like friends on Facebook, and we were giving each other tips and stuff. So it's nice like that. So you do get to meet people. But I definitely, like, I don't feel lonely because I have the dog. I think if I didn't have him, like, he just keeps me so busy all the time
Yeah.
that I'm constantly like taking him out or just thinking about like where we're gonna go and like where I'm gonna bring him for a walk or like hiking, and it's just like I feel like I've not enough hours in the day actually to do
Yeah.
everything I want to do.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I've met some people along the route. This year has been a bit more difficult with the pandemic. There's not many people traveling. But the people that are traveling, they kind of, you park at the same areas and stuff, so you get chatting and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's good. Yeah.
I was going to say as well, has the pandemic affected you? Like, how has it affected you?
Yeah, like it's now it hasn't really in the last few months because Scandinavia is quite I don't know, it's you don't really notice anything's really going on when you're up
Mm.
here because you don't have to wear masks or anything
Oh,
like that.
okay.
It's mainly just like hand sanitizer when you go into the supermarket or stuff like that. Whereas back in March when it became like huge, I was in Portugal and I was at the very bottom of Portugal. I'd driven the whole way down, and then the police approached my van and told me to leave. So
Mm.
they basically said, okay, now it's time, you need to go back to where you're from.
Wow.
It was like, I've just driven the whole way.
Yeah.
So I had to drive to Spain to stay with a friend of mine. She lives in Spain. She's from England, and she had a huge property and lots of space to park. So I parked there for 7 weeks until the whole
Okay.
lockdown was over.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was a really, really strict lockdown in Spain. I couldn't leave the house for 7 weeks, like to go grocery shopping, to go for a walk, for anything. So my friend had to do all of that, like, because only one person could go. So it was that was hardcore. So this is like the other end of the spectrum now. Like I've had that, and now I have all the freedom here. So it's yeah. So it gradually got easier as we left Spain and moved north. So yeah, I've experienced some of it, but now not so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
more
And
normal.
then what about places that you visited before you had the van? Any top places there?
Before the van,
Or maybe that
definitely
you
New Zealand.
wouldn't be able to take the van to?
Yeah, probably I would say this, like certain places I saw on the cruise ships because they're so inaccessible, like Greenland, for instance.
Uh-huh.
Definitely wouldn't be able to take the van there, but you also wouldn't really go on a holiday to Greenland because it's just so remote and it's not really catered to tourists. It's more, well, it is for cruise tourists, but not like holidays as such. So Greenland is probably one of my favorites because it's so different to anywhere else,
Mm.
and it's like, again, if you like nature, it's just amazing because they've got all
Yeah.
the dotted multicolored houses everywhere, and the scenery, like the ocean and the mountains, is beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, that has to be one of my favorites. And New Zealand, definitely. I absolutely love New Zealand.
Oh,
They all
I'd
have
love to
similar
go there.
characteristics, so there's a theme.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gorgeous there.
How long were you in New Zealand?
I was there for a year on one
Oh,
of my
wow.
visas.
On one of your what, sorry?
On the visas that we
Oh,
get, so
okay. Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
there for a year. Yeah, so that was good. Yeah. So yeah, if I could go and live anywhere, it would be New Zealand, but it's so far away. That's the only thing. Just
Yeah.
really like the other end of the world, so
Mm-hmm.
a hard one.
What did you do whilst you were there? Were you working?
I actually worked for Greenpeace.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was working for Greenpeace for pretty much the whole year. But like at the very beginning, before I got that job, I was working in a Mexican restaurant, which was so
Mm-hmm.
much fun. I was living in like a beach town where I
Nice.
knew some people from a previous trip to Brazil. I'd actually met them there, and I stayed with them for the first few weeks and then got the job. And then I ended up working the two jobs together, and then eventually I just left the restaurant and went straight to Greenpeace. So I was on like a travel team, so we would travel all around New Zealand and talk about all the campaigns they had going on to do with
Amazing.
oil and like all the different things they had going on around with mining and like with the oceans and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot definitely in that year. It's really good.
I feel like you've had loads of different lives.
So do I. I don't know how I like. Sometimes I can't remember half of it because it's just like it seems like it was a century ago when that happened. But yeah,
Yeah. And do you have any favorite like experiences as well? Because I imagine there's loads of different experiences you can have in different
yeah.
countries. So
Oh, I think the highlight. Oh my God, there's so many, but one of the most amazing things was it was this trek that I did in the Himalayas. I hadn't actually planned to do it, so I was just in Nepal to visit, and while I was there, you know, you're surrounded by all these people really just there to do these hikes and see the Himalayas. And I got really like, wow, I should do this. I'm here now. Like, so I had to go and buy all of my gear and everything. And I ended up doing a 3 week trek to, it was the Annapurna circuit. So it's like a loop. And it went to 5,416 meters. So it was really, really, really high. So I'd never done anything like that before. I was relatively fit. I did lots of hikes, but that was really challenging. And even though it was it was actually in December, yeah. So it was in winter, which wasn't the most ideal time to do it because the snow was really deep and it was quite dangerous. So that was definitely one of the highlights because we actually reached the peak on Boxing Day. So it was supposed to be Christmas Day, but the weather was bad, so we had to wait an extra day. But we got to the very top, and yeah, it was really cool. So I think that was a Christmas to remember, definitely.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And how does yoga come into your like, well, into your life? Because I've seen a few posts on your blog that are yoga related.
Yeah. So I actually, in 2013, I went to India and trained as a yoga teacher. And since then, I have been teaching around the world, but I've been mainly working on my own practice. But I have been teaching like at retreats and in studios as well. And then I went back to the same school in India that I did my first training, and I did my advanced in 2015. So like initially when I first did that, it wasn't to work as a teacher. It was mainly just to better my own practice and just to learn a bit more. And that is what I did for the first year. It was just to work on my own routines and stuff. And then after that, I wanted to go back and learn more, and then eventually like teach classes. So I've actually taught a few on the road while I've been on this trip, just with random people in their van. We just gather and go to like a park or something. And just on different trips, I've, you know, taught a few classes on the beach, or when I walked the Camino de Santiago, the group of us did a class during that trip as well. So yeah, it's good. It's a good kind of social thing because you can always say like, who wants to do a yoga class? And everyone joins in, and it's nice. So yeah.
Even if you're not a yogi, you could just like meditate or still join in, right? Yeah.
Exactly. You can just do what you can, and that's the whole point of yoga. It's not to like, you know, when you look online, you see people doing all these crazy poses, and you think like you get intimidated because you think, well, I can't go to a class because I can't do that. But that's not how it should be. Some places are like that, and I've experienced it, and I've just felt really awkward. So it is nice to be somewhere where you're not like pressured to do something. You just do what you can do, and it's all about like relaxation and meditation as well. So
yeah,
that's kind of the main thing you need to focus on. So yeah, everyone should be able to do it.
Yeah. And I've seen so many like, well, I've met quite a few yogis as well that travel around, because I've worked a few years at a yoga festival, and so there are just so many yogis that just travel around and do yoga, and I'm just like, how is this your life? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I think it's a really competitive industry now, though.
Now it is, yeah.
There's a lot of teacher trainings, and even now you can do it online, and it's just like, it's crazy. You can become a yoga teacher so quickly in such a short time, which is like, it does take time, so it shouldn't be condensed.
I was going to say, yeah, it does take time though to learn some of those poses as well, and yeah.
definitely. And because you're going to be working with people, you need to be aware of, you know, what's dangerous and what's not, and what to do when somebody hurts themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really tricky. So yeah, it should be taken seriously when trainings happen. Yeah.
But surely you need like some kind of first aid training as well, no?
Yeah, you kind of do a mix of that in the teacher trainings. So they do like yoga
Oh,
therapy.
is
Do,
your dog trying to tell you something?
yeah, he's like, I'm finished my peanut butter. So he's yeah. So he's eaten this whole jar of peanut butter.
Oh my God.
Maybe he'll say hello. Come up. Look at me. Who's this?
Hello.
He's looking for
Oh,
you. He doesn't know.
hi, Gimley.
Jimmy, who is it? He's going to the door now. But yeah, you definitely do aspects of that, so you know what to do if somebody like hurts themselves, and if someone has an injury, what poses they can and can't do. That's quite a common one.
Yeah.
So a lot of people do yoga for rehabilitation as well.
Mm.
So it's important not to like make things worse.
No, yeah,
So, yeah,
of course.
talk about that. Yeah.
Another thing I was going to say is, what about relationships for you? Like, that must just be really difficult. Do they
Yeah, like,
exist, or do you just forget it?
well, actually, I was going out with an Irish guy from the time, like from when I finished the Camino to probably last August. So we met on the Camino, which was, it's an amazing place to meet somebody. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because you're obviously on this amazing journey, and you see people at their best and their worst, and it's a really different environment.
Yeah.
So we met that way, and then like I moved home, and I planned to settle in Ireland for that year. And I think when you're back in your home environment, things, you kind of start to discover things and realize you're not actually compatible. So I think it's like you feel like you're having the holiday romance or whatever, and you really like somebody, but then when it's real life and you get home, you're like, oh, actually. So it was about, I think it was just under a year. So we kind of realized we weren't like compatible at all, but we're still really good friends. So
That's nice.
like he still travels and I travel, and we keep in contact that way. But like, yeah, apart from that, it is hard to meet people on the road, because you don't really get an opportunity to kind of, especially for like dating, you just like, where are you going to meet somebody to go on a date with, you know? But I think this whole trip is all about me right now, so I'm not really looking for that at the moment. Like, if it happens, it happens, but like I'm not like, oh, I need to go here and find somebody. So it's, at the moment, this is perfect for me with the lifestyle, but yeah, eventually I'm definitely going to want to meet someone, but they have to be open-minded, because if you know, you tell someone you live in a van or you teach yoga, some people might be like, oh god, a hippie, you know. So they need to have like some sort of either they do the same thing or they're just open-minded to it. Then they have to have a love for travel as well, because it just wouldn't work if they didn't.
Do you meet people that travel as a family? People like with kids that travel?
Yeah, I've actually met a few, and it's amazing. Like, I would love to do that in the future. It just, like, I don't know how they do it, because it's, yeah, you're in a small space, but they somehow make it work. I've seen couples with like 2 or 3 kids under like 4 or 5.
Wow.
And you know, they'll park and take out like all their kiddie stuff and put it beside the van, and the kids will happily play, and then they'll make lunch and all sit outside, and it's so cute. I've met a lot of British couples actually doing that, and they've traveled around Europe with their kids. And I was following a couple from the UK as well, and they had a really young baby. We never got to meet in person because we never crossed paths, but yeah, they just made it look so easy, and the baby was just so happy. She got to travel all over Europe, and so young. So it's so, I think it's the best, like, it's the best life for a child. It's like meet international.
Yeah, it's full of adventure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, goals, I'd love to do that.
So you need to find a guy that's also traveling around.
Exactly, that's true. And I've been to places because I don't want to
Yeah.
have to go to all these places again. I want to continue
Yeah.
until I get to all of them. So he needs to continue
Yeah.
with me.
So what is the plan for the future for you?
Plan for the future. Oh, that's something I don't really do because I think even with this van thing, it was something I just always had in my mind and it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't necessarily plan it. So I think that for me personally, when I don't plan things, they work out really well.
Yeah.
So I have some exciting projects coming up with
Ooh.
the company I'm working for at the moment. So
Okay.
I'm writing articles for them, but they've also asked me to do something else, which is pretty big. So that will be coming out soon. So
Oh,
I'll
you're
be
not allowed to say anything.
so that will be something I'll probably share on my blog and my Instagram and stuff like
Okay.
that. Um, he's having a great time.
He's just, yeah, having a party.
But yeah, apart from that, like I'm definitely going to get the van all done and renovated and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. And then just do some more trips.
Have you got any
But,
countries or any cities that you're definitely gonna do in the next year or so? Or are you just
I'm
gonna
not
wait and see
sure.
how you feel?
This sounds crazy, but I would actually love to do like Iran and all those like
Okay,
Istan
yeah. Yeah.
by van. But like, yeah, I need to do a bit more research because I'm not
Yeah.
sure like exactly how that would go.
Mm.
Um, like how easy it would be, and as a solo female, and like
Yeah,
all
be
of that. So,
careful.
yeah, so that would be amazing. But potentially, I might just do that as a separate trip, like just on a tour or something to explore. But in the van, yeah, I think like Italy, Greece, Croatia, like those kind of places, maybe um in February or March. So
Yeah,
yeah, that
amazing.
could be good.
What countries haven't you been to?
That's an easier question, yeah. Okay, where have I not been? So I haven't been to China.
Okay.
So that's somewhere I'm kind of keeping because it's obviously huge. So
Mm.
there's so much to do. So I want to keep that for like a later stage. Um, where have I not been to? So I haven't been to Cuba. I haven't been to a lot of Central America, which really appeals to me. So I really want to go to like Guatemala and Honduras and Costa Rica,
Yep.
definitely to do some hiking and stuff like that. So that's his doggy bed. So yeah, I definitely want to do Central America, and let me see. That's kind of top of my list. Um, and China. I've been to Russia a couple of times, but obviously that's huge as well.
Yeah.
So I would want to see a lot more of Russia and like Mongolia and Belarus and those kind of places over
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be
Awesome.
cool.
And then I always finish my interviews with top three. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just 3 questions that are top 3. So top 3 places in Europe.
Oh, top 3. Okay, well, Norway is to be number 1.
Yeah.
In Europe, let me see. Norway. Number 2, Portugal.
Okay, yeah, that's on my list as well. Where in Portugal would you recommend to go?
Let me see. Well, like the Algarve is really touristy,
Mm.
so I would say like the coast just above the Algarve. It's
Okay.
really beautiful, but less touristy.
Mm-hmm.
So along the southwest is really beautiful. It's really rugged. And there's lots of nice beaches there, but it's more quiet than kind of the rest where people
Okay.
go on holidays and there's resorts. So yeah, that's definitely really nice. And the Douro Valley, oh my
Okay.
God, where all the wine is produced is
Mm.
absolutely amazing. It
Okay.
looks like Tuscany, but it's just less touristy again. So it's
Yeah.
really beautiful through all the hills. So yeah, Norway, Portugal number 2, and then I would have to say number 3 would be maybe Croatia. Croatia
Mm.
is it's very beautiful. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing. And
I've been
cheap.
watching someone I follow on his stories, and he's in Croatia at the moment, and it looks stunning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I did a trip there a while ago, but it was just like backpacking. So I backpacked around Europe, and yeah, Croatia, it's so affordable, it's so easy to get around. The
Hmm.
people are so friendly,
Yeah.
like super friendly. So it's, yeah, it ticks all the boxes. It's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So
Okay.
they're my top
Okay.
three.
And then, I mean, this is a much bigger landscape now, but top three outside of Europe.
Oh God. Outside of Europe. Oh, okay. I need a second. I could go blank. I'm like, what countries exist outside of Europe? Um, okay, so I would say New Zealand number one,
Okay.
Canada number two,
Wow. Okay.
and Mexico. I
Oh,
love
okay.
Mexico. Yeah.
Why Canada?
Canada, oh my God, it's just like, it's so big that each province is like a whole different country. So you could
Yeah.
spend years there and probably not see everything. So
Okay.
you can see the northern lights from the northern territories and provinces, and then you can like go skiing, you can go to the beach, hiking, like you can do everything. It's amazing. It's kind of like New Zealand, but like everything's much bigger, and
Okay.
it's a huge country. So yeah, and the people again, they're so friendly, super
Yeah.
nice Canadians. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And then, yeah, I want to know more about Mexico as well.
So that was my 88th country, I think, in
Okay.
November. Um,
So,
yeah,
oh, so recently.
yeah, I
Okay.
went there in November, purely because I had time off from my job when I was working as a travel agent. We had to take annual leave, so I got like 10 days off, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll go to Iceland. Like Iceland's really cool. It's
Mm,
another one of my favorites. But I just thought, like, if I have 10 days, maybe I can go somewhere I haven't been, a bit far away. So I decided to go to Mexico because I had a friend there I was going to stay with. So
okay.
I stayed with him for the first couple of days, and then I just did a trip by myself then for the rest of it. And like, I think Mexico gets this reputation that it's like dangerous and you just wouldn't go there on your own, and you need to go
Yeah.
and stay in a resort. And like, it was not like that at all. Like, the people were so friendly. Obviously there's going to be dangerous areas like anywhere that you just avoid, um but there's some amazing places to go and see. They have these like underground kind of caves where you go
Wow.
snorkeling, and you can look
Oh,
down.
wow.
It's incredible. The food, like Mexican
Yeah.
food, is just incredible anyway. But in Mexico, it's like, it's so cheap as well, and you can
Yeah.
just eat as much as you want, and it's so fresh and, yeah, delicious. So and the beaches, of course, they've got great beaches. It just has
Yeah.
everything.
It
It's so
has
good.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last one is top three tips for anyone who wants to do a stint abroad.
Tips. Okay, so I would say, let me see. I think okay, so the first one would be, try and follow, like, do what the locals do, because a lot of the time people follow, like, all the touristy things, and yeah,
Yeah.
these are famous for a reason, but it's nice to get out there and do the hike that the locals do, and see like things that you wouldn't normally see unless you kind of ask around and stuff, and that's when you get to see the best places. So like, especially with food as well, go to the restaurants where the locals eat,
Yeah.
um, and just like get involved with locals, because that's how you actually learn about the country,
Mm.
rather than just kind of meeting travelers all the time, and you don't really get an idea of like the culture and the language, and at least learn a few words as well.
Yeah.
While you're there, Norwegian's extremely difficult, so I haven't really learned anything. Um, so the second thing, so it kind of depends like on their budget and things like that, but I mean, it's quite easy to do things like cheaper than,
Yeah.
so sometimes like people go to Ireland and they go to Temple Bar and they say, oh, Ireland's so expensive, but I would say try and look around and go to other places that you can save a lot of money that way. Like if you take local transport,
Yeah.
you get a better idea of the country that way. And you can find lots of things for free as well when you're traveling around, so you can really save a lot that way.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I would just say if you're on a budget, you can do a lot and see a lot and not have to pay a fortune for it. So just kind of do your research before you go, and you can have like an amazing holiday but not actually have to pay like a lot for it. So yeah, definitely research is good when it comes to that. And the third thing would be, I would say probably try and do something that, something different that you wouldn't normally do at least once while you're there. So, for instance, when I was in Australia, I forced myself just to do a skydive, because I think if I wasn't in Australia, I wouldn't just be like, oh, I'm just going to go and do a skydive. So I try and like force myself to do things that I wouldn't normally do, because they're the times when you look back and say like, I'm so glad I did that. So definitely try and push yourself to do things that you wouldn't plan to do, or if something spontaneous happens or you meet someone that invites you to go like diving or on a boat trip or something like that, just say yes and just go, because that's when you're going to have an amazing experience. So just be open-minded and just take everything on board, and try not to have a strict plan, because that's when you miss out. So I think especially when you meet people, they might be going somewhere, and if you already have a plan, you're like, oh, sorry, I can't go, I have to do this. It's nice to just be like, yeah, I'll come, and then just go traveling with some people for a few days. So try and be flexible, and you'll have a great time, I think.
Yeah. In terms of the budget thing, so if someone said to you, oh, I want to go for a year, like away, I suppose it depends where they were going, but what would be a realistic amount of money that they would have had to have saved up?
Yeah, it does depend on where you're going and if they're going to work as well. So if they're going to go for a year and they're going to work, they probably need enough money to just put down a deposit on a place to rent. And then obviously the wages will start coming in and they can live off that. But like when I first went to Australia, I think I had like 5,000 euros. And
oh, wow,
like
okay.
my first trip abroad, like I didn't have any sense of saving money. So I blew that in like a couple of months. It was terrible. I just didn't know. I was like, oh, I'll rent this apartment, that's cheap, and it wasn't cheap. But afterwards I realized like, oh, I got ripped off.
Oh no.
So I've learned over the years, definitely. But like now, if I was to go back to Australia with like $5,000, I'd be able to do so much more. So you definitely learn these things as you travel. It depends on how expensive the country is as well. So if you go, like Australia is an expensive country, Canada is as well. But then if you're working, you're going to make enough money to be able to sustain the lifestyle. So so I think at least probably 4 or 5 grand just to have as a safety kind of.
Okay. It's not as much as I expected.
Like, I mean, it depends on your lifestyle too.
Yeah, for sure.
Always going out eating and stuff, that will go really fast.
Yeah,
you just didn't care. I just would go out, and because I was 19, I would just go drinking and partying and eating kebabs all the time, and I just had no sense of how much I was. And then I was like, oh, I've no money left. So
okay, don't do that.
Don't do that. No, exactly. Be streetwise, and just make sure you have enough money that you can just keep in like a savings account that you don't touch. And have a separate amount that you can play around with.
Oh, okay, well, thank you so much. It was amazing talking to you.
You too. Thanks for having me.
And I got to see Gimley as well.
Yeah, he's still confused, like, where is she?
Bless him. All right, well, I'm definitely going to carry on following you, see where you go next. Where can people connect with you if they want to see what else you've got happening and know about your exciting projects that you're keeping a secret?
So my Instagram is probably where I update most, and then my blog. So my Instagram is worldtravelersblog.com,
Mm-hmm.
or World Travelers, yeah. So you'll find me on Instagram that way. And
Yeah.
then my website is worldtravelers.com. So that's where I post pretty much every couple of weeks. I'll write like a blog about what I've been doing and kind of different tips and tricks like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a bit of background on what I've done before, and it's all separated into the countries too. So if you want some tips on Croatia, you can just go and find Croatia. And so there's loads of stuff there. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Awesome.
So yeah, they're the two main ways, and Facebook, but Instagram I use more, and there's more pictures there, so it's more interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend as well.
Oh, I didn't even know it was the weekend.
Well, today's Friday that we're recording, but
Oh yeah, okay. Well, you have a great weekend too.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.